Hey everybody, it's Dustin over at Geekmatics, and today we have an iPhone 6 that on this model right now, or on this device, everything is working perfectly, okay? But it's an iCloud lock device, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and throw it in the water and while it's on, and we're gonna leave it sit there for a minute, and then we're gonna act like a client, and we're gonna take it out of the water and say, oh no, the battery must have died, and then we're gonna go ahead and plug it in, okay? And destroy the device, or essentially that's how the device gets destroyed. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put our client hat down, and we're gonna put our tech hat on, and we're gonna try to fix the damage that we just caused. So I really hope you guys enjoy the video. Now, one more thing, the cameras, camera stands, mics, all that stuff will be here tomorrow, so hopefully there'll be higher quality videos, and if not, then you guys can officially blame me at that time. So anyway, enjoy.
Hey guys, we're going to do a small visual inspection on the board here before we dip it in water, just to make sure there's no pre-existing liquid damage that we should be concerned about. But the device does work properly, okay? I'm not going to take the shields off yet, okay? We're going to go ahead and wait until after we get it wet, alright? Okay, so before I actually throw this in water, I want to describe what we would expect to see. Okay, I'm going to have the screen on, I'm going to dip it in. Now what we would expect to see is the device turn off pretty soon after, pretty quickly. Again, this has a no water resistance phone, okay, so as soon as water hits a capacitor, the device will short, okay? Remember, we went over short in the last video, so what's going to happen is the capacitor more than likely will not fail internally at first. It's just going to have like a drop of water connecting one side of the capacitor to the other, making continuity between it. And like again last video, that's no bueno, that's no good, okay? That's bad. What's going to happen is, since the capacitor is not shorted internally, but it does read as a short, the battery is going to go in what's called protection mode, which is going to be on 0.00 volts. So at that point, to kind of I'm not sure if it's protecting the device or protecting the battery from blowing up, but it definitely helps in cases of liquid damage, because it shuts off the device, and that's exactly what you want to happen. You do not want power running through the device while there's liquid in it, obviously. Alright, so with that being said, let's go ahead. Alright guys, so we are going to go ahead and throw her in the water here. Now you'll notice that it has a cracked screen. Mainly I just didn't want to spend $1 or $2 on another screen, and also just about every iPhone user that drops their phone in water has a cracked screen, and they think it's still water resistant for some reason. So alright, you can see the screen is on. I'm going to turn it on and off again so it stays on longer, and we're going to go ahead and dip her in. And like I said, what we would expect to see is it shut off as soon as some of the liquid gets to a capacitor. It's honestly taking longer than I thought it would to shut off. This iPhone 6 is tough, huh? Alright, we're going to leave it there until it shuts off. Oh look, as soon as I take it out of the water, it does go back in. Will it turn back on? Well, I'm gonna leave it in there for a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna cut the video, but I'm gonna leave this in here for about 5 or 10 more minutes, just so we can really get the damage in there. Alright guys, so while that's sitting in water soaking a little bit, making the damage, make sure everything's equally wet in there. Let's go over what you really should do next, okay? You should go ahead and immediately open the device, disconnect battery, I like to take the board out immediately and throw it in ISO. I don't like to do the ultrasonic right away. I don't like to start scrubbing with the ISO right away because I want to do visual inspection first. The reason that's important is because if you go ahead and go right to the ultrasonic and then right to the scrubbing, you're going to wash away evidence, okay? So if you're in a situation of data recovery, which most liquid damage is data recovery, you're wiping away the evidence of what could be damaged, okay? So that's what the important thing is. Now, since we're a client, that's not what we're going to do, okay? We can't be inconvenienced by liquid right now. We really need our phone to work right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to dry it up a little bit with a paper towel, maybe shake it out a little bit, and then apply power. All right, guys, so we get the phone out of here. All right, let's just go ahead and dry the exterior. Remember, we're a very impatient client who needs their phone right away. So, you know, just like everybody, we're going to dry the outside of the phone. Look, that looks good. This phone is, just, you know, tap it a couple of times. You don't need to do anything else, right? Just get that water out of there. All right. Now, maybe if you're, maybe you are a little advanced and you go ahead and put this sucker in rice as a client. You know, that's the real smart thing. All right, let's go get more paper towels. Make sure this, we want to really dry, guys, right? We want to make sure that there's no liquid at all on the exterior of this phone, because that means it's a good phone. All right, so now let's go ahead and apply power. What? Get out of here. Stop it. I'm gonna put it back in water. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, you're going right back in water. I could honestly leave it just like this and it will destroy itself eventually. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just go ahead and let it charge and wait for it to die. All right. Okay, guys, that actually didn't take long. As soon as I cut the video, the phone died out. So you can see we still got some fog here. We're gonna let it charge for a little bit though. You know, because a client thinks right now that their battery is just bad. Okay, it died. You know, it was at 100% before it went in the pool or the toilet, more than likely. But somehow it from the water it died immediately. So we're gonna let it charge. We're gonna leave it sit for maybe an hour or so and let it charge. Okay. You know, thinking about it, I think it's perfect that Apple logo showed up, because that's kind of what I was saying with the battery going into protection mode. Okay, you saw as soon as I took it out of the water, the phone stopped working. That was the battery or something shorting on the board, and the battery going into protection mode. And as soon as I plugged it in and it tried to take the battery out of protection mode, it did. It started to boot, didn't even get all the way to iOS, and just shut off from there. So that point right there, you see, if you would have just taken it to a professional or opened it up and dried it, this phone would have been okay. Now I don't know if it's going to be recoverable. Okay, we're about to find out. We're going to try it. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take our client hat off, and we're going to put our tech hat on, and we're going to kind of go by what exactly. So right now the client just told me, hey, I dropped it in the toilet, or they always say the pool, of course, never the toilet. I've never heard a client say they've dropped it in a toilet, but it all smells weird to me. So we're going to go ahead and do a visual inspection. All right. Alright guys, again, this will be the last video with the shoddy camera work. Amazon has said that the stuff will be here tomorrow, and it has been shipped and tracked and all that good stuff. So you see I just had the home button sitting in there. Look at this. It is dripping wet, and this is what I see every time. And I like when clients come in with the phone wet, I love to open it up right in front of them, because they always say I put it in rice and I dried it out completely, and you know, they open it up and it looks like this, especially on the newer models with the water resistance. So you'll see the first thing I did actually was disconnect battery, removed power from the device. Okay, that's what we want to do. Now we're gonna go ahead and you see, again guys, this was an example, so this phone's not even all the way there. Take all this stuff out. I didn't want to damage parts that I didn't have to. And we're gonna go ahead and take out the single screw in this phone. Maybe I can find a screwdriver. Tool, where are you at? Here it is. And I love these Tool. It's T-U-U-L, but pronounced Tool. These are fantastic screwdrivers. Did I put another screw in here? No, it's just, there we go. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put this in rubbing alcohol to try to get all of this excess water off. So I'm gonna go dip this in 99 ISO, and then we're gonna go kind of dry it with our compressed air. Okay guys, now you'll see I'm not going to scrub it, okay? I'm just going to kind of set it in here. I'm going to have it sit for a minute, kind of move it around, try to get all of that ISO underneath the ICs, okay? All the chips on the board and underneath all of the good stuff, okay? So I'm going to let it sit there for a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and take it out and blow it out with some compressed air, okay? Now, while we have that sitting in the ISO, just to go over why we're not scrubbing it yet, again, is just because we don't want to get rid of any evidence that may help us be able to recover data, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to, have it sit in the ISO, blow it out, and then we're going to do a visual inspection under the microscope and see if we can see anything like a haha, gotcha type of thing. We're also going to take the shields off during the visual inspection so we can actually see everything. Also, so the ultrasonic can get to those items, because if you don't take the shields off, the way the ultrasonic works, it's not going to hit those ICs, okay, or everything underneath those shields, all right? So let's go ahead and move to the next step and grab that out of the ISO. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling off the shields. Now, one thing that you'll notice is I'm using a board heater for this, and that's simply, I like to do that because it holds the phone in place as I'm picking up on the shields, plus it applies bottom heat to make the shields just kind of pop off. I'm not going to mess with this bottom shield. It's a pain in the butt to get off. I'm going to go through the ultrasonic and the cleaning process with that shield on and pray that I don't have to remove it. If I have to remove it to get the phone to turn on and to connect to iTunes, then I will, but I really don't want to. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start taking this off. I'm going to go ahead and put my tweezers under it, under the shield, and very lightly lift, because I don't want to break anything as I'm applying the heat. And now with the bottom heat, this is really pretty quick. Oop, there it goes right there. Okay, so now we're gonna just flip this board over real quick. We're gonna be careful because the board is hot, remember guys. Flip, flip, flip. I'm not gonna do this way, I guess. Make sure that's not on the bracket there. There we go. We're going to do the same thing for the bottom. Get our tweezers under. And I either use a real big nozzle on my heat gun or no nozzle at all for these plates. Okay, there's that one. All right, now we can go ahead and we're going to take this off the heat and we're going to do a visual inspection under the microscope. Visual inspection time. So right now we're looking for any evidence. We're going to try to look at each individual component on the board, okay, and see if we see anything too damaged before we put it through the ultrasonic. And you'll see a lot of this is no stuff. You see those dots there, that's all no stuff, so we don't have to worry about that. And again, we're going to try to look at, this is the bottom of the board, we're going to try to look at any damage. There's TriStar under here that's covered in underfill, so I doubt that would have been affected by the liquid, but it still could have been. Gonna keep going. That cap doesn't look terribly good. That doesn't look terribly good. Remember, guys, we want to kind of keep an eye. This one doesn't look good either on every component that doesn't look 100%. And it looks up here towards the top back of the phone. That's where we see a lot of the damage. Look at all these, crappy looking capacitors. And again, this would not have been this bad if I would have just disconnected the battery or not plugged it in even. And took it to a professional. So you see this one here, look at the down there, that might be an issue over there. All of these capacitors, and again, we're going to really look for all kinds of signs because this is all evidence here and we don't want to wash it away. I'm trying to see under the plate, that resistor doesn't look good at all. That capacitor doesn't look good. Okay, and this wing of the phone looks alright. We're going to flip it and do the top side. And we already kind of saw this damage here. And this is under, ooh, that all next to the CPU does not look good either. Okay, so, Alright, and then under that shield, we're going to pray that there's nothing damaged. Okay guys, so now it is finally time for the ultrasonic to go ahead and throw this in to do full cleaning. So we'll go ahead and go into that. I'll show you the ultrasonic I use and the settings I use and how long I put it in the ultrasonic. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Okay, so this is the ultrasonic I use, and you'll notice I have my temperature set to 62 degrees Celsius, okay, and then my timer set for 1 minute. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the board in, and I have tweezers in here simply so it kind of holds the board up, because this will fit a MacBook too, so iPhones are a little harder. So you'll see how I have that sit on one angle, And then I'm going to do 1 minute that way, and then I'm going to have it positioned the other way. I'm going to have it just kind of leaning this way. You can't see with my hand, leaning that way. And then we're going to go and flip the board over and do the same thing, leaning, leaning. So it's going to be in here for about a total of 4 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm not going to record that whole process. It makes a nasty noise. Again, better cameras are coming tomorrow. So we're working on what we got. Okay, so you'll see now is the time for it to be in the ISO and the scrubbing section of it. We're really gonna try to, if there's anything just hanging off the board, we're really gonna try to scrub hard to knock that off. That way it'll be obvious when we're looking at it if there's a missing resistor or something, whether it just be barely hanging on. If we scrub hard, it will move off so we can see it. Because if it's just barely hanging on, it won't be easy to see. So I have been having this sit here just in the ISO for a few minutes just to kind of let it soak before I started to scrub. All right, and again, we're gonna go top and bottom and make sure we clean that board really well. Now we'll go ahead and put it in the little toaster oven that I have on warm for several minutes, all right? All right, guys, so while I had that one in the dryer, somebody just walked in with an iPhone 8 Plus. They said they went to 2 other places in Tampa, which is about a 40-minute drive, an hour drive away, and that couldn't fix this device, and it was water damaged. And from what the gentleman said, it was exactly what I just did to that iPhone 6 Plus. Gave it water, let it dry out a little bit, and plugged it in. And let's go ahead and see the damage on this board. Now, I did tell the gentleman if it's just a main short or a cap, I could just pop it off for him and call it a repair without warranty. And then I looked at the board and saw this. So let's go ahead and get started. You'll see here a main cap that is short, another main cap that is short. Let's see. Oh, here's the extent of the damage here on baseband PMIC. Look at all the caps around it, just look like complete crud. And we'll move along, and you see here more damage on things that you need for cellular data to work properly. And down here, ooh, this looks like display. This phone probably, even if we got it to turn on, will not have image, or maybe home button won't work either. This is all pretty bad. So yep, data recovery on this one. We'll go and snap that phone back together and give it back to the gentleman, because I don't think he really needs his data from what he was telling me when we were talking a minute ago. Alright guys, now that we got that 8 Plus all snapped back and ready to go to the clients, we'll go ahead and go back to our iPhone 6 here and do another visual inspection after the cleaning process. Alright, starting at the bottom of the board. We didn't see too much damage down here initially, so these capacitors still don't look terribly good, so let's come back with our multimeter and take a look at those. All of these capacitors look like junk. That resistor down there still looks bad. These are the kind of things that I'm looking at and keeping an eye on as I'm doing my initial visual inspection. That way, if I remove a short and the phone still doesn't work, I can kind of go back. So you can see that cap there looks like it's going to be a problem for sure. And this one here. That cap there as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and probe around for short. So we're going to get my multimeter. We're going to put it in diode mode. And you guys will be able to hear it beep when we have a short. So let's go ahead and start with main, this main cap up here. The main not short, I just can't make contact with that cap. Oh well, so I don't think I'm making contact. Let's check this one here. That looks good. I'm going to start removing some of these things that look like junk, such as this. You guys see this capacitor up here? Looks like complete trash. We'll just get rid of that. Go away, you don't need to be in here anymore. We'll get rid of this one. My scalpel, my little blade for that. Where's the one I was just being prejudiced against? There we go, right here. You get out of here. Data recovery, guys. Remember, we don't need it to look good. Go away. Okay, this cap is going to be messed up. take that with me too, because it doesn't look pretty. Go away. So if this was for a repair, we would obviously use a little bit of heat to take these off so we don't damage the pads like we are. But it is data recovery, right, in this scenario, so that's what we care about. We'll take this one off. Man, that's trying to print on it pretty good. Alright, let's probe these for short, see if I can knock it. Let's start probing. So you'll see I kind of have the method of just taking things off that look bad. And that's not short, so I don't have to worry about anything on that line. Let's make sure that there's no shorts here. Good. Good. Test this already up here. Good. And the bottom look good. Let's check the CPU side up here. Ooh, that looks bad. Let's remove that. Alright, you're out of here. Alright. Why should that be important for image? Let's double check. Now you can see my screen. We're going to go ahead and look at ZXW and see what exactly I'm knocking off here. Above that. This is the top side of the board next to the CPU. Okay, that's what I thought. Alright, sounds good. So we'll go ahead and go back to the scope camera and continue our visual inspection. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and try to apply power to this device now and see what we get. Maybe it will boot, maybe it won't. Let's go ahead and... So I have my Power Max connected, so we're going to go ahead and turn it on. And we have, that's exactly what we would expect from a normal working device. That's good. We're going to go ahead and prompt to boot. And it looks like it's going to go ahead and start booting. Again, this is without the screen, so we would expect lower current than if you have a screen on. We're going to go ahead and shut it off. We're going to put a screen on next and see if we can get this to boot all the way into iOS. Alright guys, so with our known good screen, we're going to go ahead and prompt to boot, and we have Apple logo. That's a good sign, but that doesn't mean we're there yet. Alright, and remember guys, some of the things that we need for data recovery is image, touch, and USB connection so we can connect it to iTunes, okay? So those are the three things that we are really going to need. And we'll make sure we have two of those. We know we have image now. Let's see if we have touch. Maybe we don't have touch. No, we don't have touch. So what are we going to do? We are going to go ahead and diode mode the connector, right? That's what, first we're going to check it on good screen, but I'm going to do that off camera. And then we're going to go ahead and diode mode the connector. That's what we do next. Alright guys, so I just took diode mode at the digitizer connector and everything actually looked pretty good there. So I'm going to stop the video on that. I'll do another video on how I diagnosed the no touch. I just don't want this one to be too long, so look out for the second part of that. Now also, I wanted to mention that you'll see I was very rough with those caps. I kind of just started knocking them off before I knew exactly what they were, or even if they were short. You know, if this was a real data recovery, you would not do that. You know, the first thing to do is just measure those caps, make sure they're actually short before you start knocking them off. And then if you don't know for sure what they are, it's best to look at ZXW, okay? Anything to preserve the data. You know, and just in the back of my head, I knew this was an iCloud device, and I was just kind of knocking stuff off left and right, and that's not the right way to do it. So don't do exactly what I did, but very similar, okay, but with the added steps that I just mentioned. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something.